Hello everyone, I am Bhumipa Gohil and today's topic for my presentation is Beyond Humanity, a comparative analysis of dehumanization in dystopian narratives. These are my academic information. So let us begin by understanding what is dystopia. Um, Merriam-Webster's definition of dystopia says that dystopia is an imagined world or society in which people lead wretched, dehumanized, and fearful lives. As you can see, the word dehumanized is present in the very definition of dystopia. So through this presentation, I will try to explore how important is dehumanization in dystopian literature and how it's portrayed by different creators. For my presentation, I have taken the example of 1984 by George Orwell, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. So now let us start by understanding dehumanization. The definition of dehumanization is to deprive someone or something of human qualities, personality, or dignity. Now, Kelman says that dehumanization in dystopian literature showcases the loss of essential human qualities like identity and community. So through this, we will also see how far his definition is right. So let us begin with 1984. This is the basic information on the novel. It is set in Oceania, which is a totalitarian state ruled by party and Big Brother. We see a totalitarian government and surveillance on everything and lack of privacy in this. The dehumanizing element in this novel, as I said, that there is no privacy. The Big Brother is always watching you. And other than that, we have Newspeak, which is a language manipulating tool. They use opposite words. And like they would say that Ministry of Peace. And Ministry of Peace is actually military. So in this way, there is language of manipulation. There is thought police. So people don't even have the privacy of their own thought. There is surveillance on everything. There is a hate week, which promotes this mob mentality, where citizens come together and hate on one person, particular person, and this leads to emotional manipulation as well. So we see that propaganda and manipulation of history is a big part of the party in 1984, as the slogan of the party is, who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past. And another one is that how could you establish even the most obvious fact when there exists no record outside your own memory? So we see that party manipulates history and makes people forget what really happened. And in this way, people are not sure what to think. They don't know what to believe in. And in this way, they are stealing the identity and very freedom to think of people. There is also control over people's relations. We see that they are not allowed to have real connections with each other. Here also we see that identity and community are both threatened. There is also physical and psychological torture, as we see that our protagonist Vincent is taken to room 101 and he is tortured until he is ready to accept the party's rule. And there is also physical degradation. We can see that the rationing of food supplies, the higher class people have better quality of things, and lower class people are they don't even have blade to shave. So in this way we can see. Now let us see dehumanization in Brave New World. Again, this is some basic information about it. It is a novel by Aldous Huxley, and it is set in a futuristic world state where society is engineered for stability and conformity. Brave New World is quite kind of different from 1984 in one manner, is that it is not ruled by fear. The people there don't know that the dehumanizing element that are prevalent in their society. They are not aware of things that are going wrong. And even if they are, they would not want it to change. Now let us see why. So one of the major thing is they have eradicated natural reproductive systems in their world. There is artificial birthing process called decanting. So children are genetically manufactured in labs. And through this, they also make sure that people stay in their particular class system. They never escape from it because there is this category of people called as epsilon, which are the lowest class of people. So the children who are going to be epsilons are stunted mentally. Their mental growth is stopped at certain point. So not only will they never have the potential to succeed, they wouldn't even have the ambition to it. They only have intelligence enough to to live their life as the government decided. So other than that, we see future chemical workers. When they are children, they are given this small amount of toxins so that their body becomes immune to it. And one very disturbing thing they do is mental conditioning. So the children from lower class, when they are children, they are brought to a room and they are given books and toys and everything luxurious. And as they are enjoying it, as they are playing it, there is sound torture. So loud sound is played and the floor starts electrocution. And in this manner, they are conditioned to never like these things. So through genetical engineering and things like this, they make sure that people never really escape their class system and the world goes on like the power wanted to. There is another thing, as I said, that it is Brave New World is not governed by fear, but it is governed by manipulation of the pleasure principle. So there is this Soma drug. It is said that it does not really hinder people's thinking process, but it makes them really calm. So here there is this exploitation of human beings' desire to be free from struggles. And there is also ban on books that evoke strong emotion. There is mention of Shakespeare and Tolstoy books that nobody is allowed to read them because they would make people feel things. And so there is the government really wants that people don't have strong emotion. And as I said, that because of artificial birthing process, the parent-children relationship is also disturbed very much. And naturally, there is naturally living communities in the villages side, just like in 1984 we have. But here, instead of hiding them, people can go and have a vacation there. And through that, they see what ugly life is. And in this manner, they would feel grateful that they are here, oppressed by the government, but they don't even know this. So in this manner, dehumanization is portrayed there. Now let us look at Handmaid's Tale. This is a novel by Margaret Atwood, and it is based on the Republic of Gilead. It is basically United States, but then it is attacked by Sons of Joseph group, and it is turned into a military society. And one of the biggest things they do there is that women are made the lowest class citizens, and they lose complete autonomy over themselves. So women are divided into classes, that a few of them can be wives, the commander's wives, and everybody has a particular uniform they have to wear, a particular sets of rules that they have to follow. Then, so there are mostly three kind of groups. One is commander's wives, they wear blue clothes. Then we have handmaids who are made to wear this uniform, the red one. And then we have Marthas as well, who are like workers and cooks and servants, and they are made to wear green. And through this, basic human rights of women are taken away. They are not allowed to have money or property. They are not allowed to read or write. Not only that, they are not allowed to talk to each other. The handmaids especially are not allowed to talk to each other or have friendships or have any kind of community. The Gilead rigorously suppresses two key feelings for the handmaids: the desire to talk freely and openly, and the hunger to commit the act of touch. So as in many other examples, the human relation and the community is very much restricted here. Here as well, we can see the constant surveillance by regimes called eyes. So eyes are always on the people, and one wrong move and they will be taken away. Another thing is that their original names of handmaids are taken away from them. So they use possessive labels like of plus the commander's name, the commander which they belong to. So here we see the objectification of women like that. The narrator of this novel is called of Fred, because she belongs to the commander Fred. And the handmaids are reduced solely for their reproductive capacity. They are seen as this walking wombs and nothing else. Now let us look at dehumanization in Never Let Me Go. This is a novel by Kazuo Ishiguro, and it is set in England in 20th to early 21st century. And here also, we see the narrator. Our narrator is Kathy, and she is a human clone. So here, people are, their clones are made from somebody, some higher class people, and the entire purpose of a clone's life is to give their valuable organs to that person until they die. So here we see that their lives are predetermined and their sole purpose is of becoming organ donors. And the word death or dying is not used as well. They use the word complete as if it was a mission and that was their entire purpose. So when Kathy is studying in Helsham School, which is the school for the clones, there is a Miss Lucy and she says that none of you will go to America. None of you will be film stars and none of you will be working in supermarkets as I heard some of you planning the other day. Your lives are set out for you. You will become adults. Then before you're old, before you are even middle-aged, you'll start to donate your vital organs. That's what each of you was created to do. So here we also see that the identity of the person is completely destroyed. They are not allowed to do anything else other than being donors of organs. And another thing we see is that the clones are very passive and uncomplaining about this treatment. Even the Kathy, our narrator, is having an empty narration. You don't see an overwhelming amount of sadness in her narration or anything. So this shows that there is also suppression of emotion done here. And their identities are replaced by codes and numbers. And they are treated like animals bred for productive purposes only. Their entire purpose, as I said, that is to give organs, and they are not allowed to have any sort of future. So now let us see some similarities and differences between them. Some of the major similarities are loss of autonomy. People don't have control over their own body, their own mind, and cannot think for themselves. There is also suppression of emotion. They cannot describe it and what they are feeling, or they are sometimes not allowed to. So in 1984, we see that people are always monitoring the face. So even if you have a strong emotion and it shows on your face, then it is called a thought crime. In Handmaid's Tale as well, this is seen that they are not allowed to talk, they are not allowed to express any sort of emotion. And objectification of people is also seen in all this, that they are treated as mere objects. Handmaids are treated as wombs, and clones are only useful for organ donations. So, but there are a few differences in this. So 1984 is very much based on psychological manipulation. The dehumanization is done through that, and people are from the very beginning told what to think, what not to think. The history is, as I said, that erased, changed sometimes. The truth is manipulated. So through psychological manipulation, dehumanization is seen in 1984. In Brave New World, we see genetic engineering and how people cannot even think anything different. They cannot escape even if they want. And in Handmaid's Tale, we see strict gender roles and how women are oppressed and dehumanized. In Never Let Me Go, we see subtle exploitation because the emotion of the clones is suppressed so much that they don't have this desire to rebel. So in this manner, dehumanization is treated by different authors. We see that dehumanization becomes a powerful lens through which authors explore consequences of oppressive regime, societal control, and the erosion of individual freedom. It also serves as a cautionary tale for the readers about danger of unchecked power. It portrays the potential for human rights abuse and promotes critical thinking and inspires social change in their readers. So these are my references. And now for your questions.
So, Bhumi, my question is, do the ending of this novel offer hope into the potential for resistance and resilience in the face of dehumanization?
Actually, no. None of these novels offer this overwhelming feeling of hope. 1984 ends with Vincent changing his own ideas about the party, and whatever streak of rebellion he had was taken out of him, I would say, through psychological torture. In Brave New World, the people are not aware of this dehumanization, and even if they are, they would not want to escape because the pleasure principle is, as I said, exploited. So they wouldn't even want to change. In Handmaid's Tale, in the ending, we see that because of some crime, the Offred character is taken by the authorities, and she's unsure that what will happen to her. So it also has a bleak ending. And in Never Let Me Go, we see that Kathy, who lives with two of her best friends, Tommy and Ruth, both of them have completed their mission, I would say. And Kathy is waiting for her last organ donation, so she is also going to die. So all of the endings are very bleak and you don't see much hope in it.
Bhumi, my question is for you. Do you believe that today's society is turning into dystopian society with dictators, consumerism, and control of media and distorting the constitution?
I think it depends on personal perspective. And yes, many elements of these dystopian narratives can be seen in our real lives, contemporary times as well. So if we see 1984, as you said, that there is manipulation of news and manipulation of truth. So we see that in many governments of the entire world right now. In one element from Brave New World that we see is the manipulation of pleasure principle, as I said. So we have that in our time as well through social media and easy accessibility to pleasure. Whenever we want to be distracted, it is right there in our hands. So people are not promoting critical thinking, and instead they are saying that, enjoy your life. And in Handmaid's Tale, this loss of autonomy of women. So there are many debates going around the world about the abortion rights. And should women be in charge of their own bodies? So I think, yes, there are some qualities, but there is also hope, I would say, because there are readers and there are such writers, and maybe they would be successful in enlightening the other citizens. So that was my presentation. Thank you so much.